I'm Dr. Kimberly Manning.
And this is Dr. Ashley McMullen. And you're listening to the Human Doctor Podcast, where we explore the human side of medicine, along with teaching, living, learning, and all things in between. Using the power of storytelling, conversation, and connectedness.
Hey, we're two dope academic internal medicine doctors, but we ain't your doctors. So if you perceive anything we say here as medical advice, no, it ain't that. Also, the things we say, they only reflect our brilliant Black woman magic mind and not our employers.
You could have been anywhere, y'all, but you chose to be here with us, and we appreciate you. Let's go. How's your afternoon going?
My afternoon is going just okay.
Okay. I think that's a reasonable word, but say more.
It's going okay. Let me see. So far today, I am an accomplished 4.2.
Mm-hmm.
I know you noticed 4.2 is a little low for me, but I'm accomplished because I got up, I worked out, um, I was off this morning, so I went grocery shopping, which I did not do over the weekend. Took care of all that. I did some food prep, and then I took my car back to the shop because my check engine light has been on, and they can't quite tell me why. And that's really annoying. I'm normally not a person that's like, how some people, I was just talking to my friends about this. Like there is a gene where like if you look at your phone and the little part that has how many like text messages, how many messages, if it has anything more than one or two, like there's a gene where that bothers you, and there's a gene that if it says 10,420, it just doesn't bother you. I am in the latter group. I'm not bothered by stuff like that. The only caveat to that is though the check engine light. Even though they keep telling me my car is fine, I don't like that I see my check engine light. That's bothering me. And my birthday is in September, and they need to get it together before September because I cannot get my emissions to pass with that check engine light on. That's really actually all I care about. If they're like, we can shut it off for 2 days in September, and then they could come back on, I'm fine. It's cool.
Good to know. Good to know. It's not, it has nothing to do with, safety or anything like that.
No, that's a gene too.
Okay. Just checking.
That's a gene too. This conscientious gene. Remember, we talked about these personality things. So.
Yes.
Yeah. Should we acknowledge that we had a bye week last week, y'all? We was just busy.
I don't feel like we need an explanation.
I think so. I think we need an explanation for our devoted listeners like Gurpreet Dhaliwal and Jolay and Tanya and so many other people who listen like really, really consistently.
Fair.
Yeah.
Okay.
What's up with you? What are you today?
I would say I am an organizing 4.5. I tend to feel better inside when like my apartment is clean. Before I got started today, I think that cleaning up was something that I really needed to do, and I automatically feel a little bit more at ease. And, while we were in the process of naming some fans, I did want to shout out a mutual friend, Calvin Cho, who has been binge listening to episodes. Yes. And so he deserves a shout out too.
Calvin Cho, I love you so much.
But he mentioned something that I thought was a really good point. He was saying, it's like, you guys are always above a 4. Have you noticed that?
Yeah. That's a beautiful thing.
It is a beautiful thing. And it struck me because I've heard from other folks, not necessarily people who listen regularly, but people who still find it kind of confusing about how to maintain a sense of joy or optimism, or even to get on a mic and tell stories, given everything that's going on right now. And to that, I say that, it's not willful ignorance or blind optimism. For me, it's an active choice. And it's something that I have to work on every morning when I see and feel all that's going on around me.
Yeah. I remember this. I don't know where I heard this. I think it was a Grady Elder, but I could be wrong. I heard somebody say that one of the best gifts anybody can give you or that you can give to yourself is to have something to look forward to.
Mm,
And I think I always have something to look forward to. And I think that that is what kind of keeps me above a four. You know what I mean? Like
mhm,
that really helps me. And I also realize how small I am in this world and
mm,
how little is in my control. Um, so if the little tiny like sphere around me that I can control, which is who I will let have some of my time, who I will, allow to worry me, what tasks I will say yes to, what tasks I'll say no to. Um, I think that some of those things, people think that they have to do certain things, and there's a whole bunch of stuff you don't have to do. Um, and there's a lot of stuff that you can do. So, and I
mhm.
think that if you start to become a little bit more prescriptive about all of that, you can be a little bit happier. And that's if you are in, uh, your mental health is in a space where you can do.
Right. For
We
sure.
acknowledge that, like, because I'm always careful to be like, I choose, people like, happiness is a choice. I said, well, it's a choice if you're mentally well.
Yeah.
Like, I'm
Mhm.
certain that, some of our kings, queens, and non-binary royalty listening, who are living with depression and anxiety, they would choose to not be living
Yes,
with depression and anxiety, right? So we don't want to trivialize that. But
absolutely.
you know what? This is a public service announcement I'm going to give.
Okay.
So remember, a couple weeks ago, I was telling you about my glorious experience going to sleep for my colonoscopy.
Hmm.
And I think I said this on the podcast, but I will say it here again because, it's my business and it's my business I can share. Um, on my screening colonoscopy, I had two polyps removed. And one polyp was kind of no big deal. The other polyp was no big deal-ish, but it was precancerous. And it was located on my cecum. And remember, I told you that the right side of the colon, particularly the cecum, is the area where people of African descent tend to have the most colon cancer, and they are the most aggressive,
Hmm.
the ones that are found on the right side of the colon. And I'm sharing this because now because I was in care, I will have to get a colonoscopy again in 3 years. Um, but I know that I need a colonoscopy in 3 years because I got a colonoscopy.
Mm,
And I can absolutely see how, as crazy as my life is, and how, I eat fairly clean and I can tell myself all these things that I'm doing right. And I have no family history of colon cancer. I can tell myself all the things that makes it okay to keep postponing this. But I know that there's somebody who's listening to this podcast who needs to get a colonoscopy or who had one and was given an interval and they can't remember what the interval was or they don't even know what all the
hmm.
first one showed. Or even if there's somebody in their family, because my doctor also told me that your kids will need to get their colonoscopies. I would like them to start getting them at 40.
Mm,
I
hmm.
said, is that right? And again, all of this is based upon me getting my screening colonoscopy, the second one, because remember, I got my first one at 45.
Yeah.
So that's my public service announcement. I am glad I had that polyp removed.
Hmm.
And I'm glad somebody in pathology looked at it under a microscope and said, yo, it's a good thing you got that removed.
Mm.
Um, so get your colonoscopy. And I get to have that nap in just 3 years.
Yeah, right. Something to look forward to.
Something to look forward to.
Well, did you know that today was the Transgender Day of Visibility?
I did, and I'm glad you brought it up. I should have
Yes.
opened up with kings, queens, and non-binary royalty.
I love that it's called the Day of Visibility because I think it's more than, a sense of pride or just remembrance. It's really just like y'all gonna see us. Y'all gonna see us in our entire humanity. And I really appreciate that because a lot of what we hear is attempts to erase people's visibility, people's history. And we just ain't gonna let that happen. So
No,
I'm
no,
here for it.
I am here for it too. Well, kings, queens, and
Mm.
non-binary royalty who have awaited us after a bye week, which may or may not have been my fault.
Thank you. Yeah.
Y'all, today is your lucky day. Um, I did not comment on the fact that Ashley's hair, aka Mahalia, is in like a pineapple, like pull up sprout looking situation that is fabulous on a
Mm,
Monday.
mm,
Um, and that it is gloomy and raining here in Atlanta, Georgia, but the sun is about to come out because today is the day that Ashley McMullen will be telling the story. And I confirmed that that is so because I may or may not have known for sure which person was telling the story,
mhm.
but it's Ashley because she's the producer and she confirmed that.
Although I came close to switching it up, but not today.
So, Dr. McMullen, Associate Professor of Medicine at the UC San Francisco. What is the what?
Hmm. The what is embodiment?
Embodiment. I
Embodiment.
know for sure we have not used that word.
I know, I checked.
Yeah.
Yeah, I the reason I was thinking about this is because I have this amazing book of like meditations and stories and prayers called The Black Liturgies by Cole Arthur Riley, which I highly recommend. There's this chapter on the body, and it in the chapter it poses a question, which was when was the last time you felt in awe of your body?
Mhm.
And as I was thinking about it, I was having a really hard time with the question because I realized I spend so much more of my mental energy criticizing my body for what it may not look like or what it may not be able to do that I think I should be able to do.
Mm.
And it took me a minute, but in the moment, I was able to kind of flip that on its head and think about a time when I was really deeply appreciative of my body for doing something I really needed.
Mm.
I'm going to take you back not too long ago, just a couple years ago. I was in kind of a relationship slash situationship with a woman that I was really excited about. And um, over time, I came to realize that unfortunately things weren't quite as I was hoping for. In spite of that deeper knowing, I was able to kind of rationalize things and make it make sense in my mind and brush some difficult feelings aside and really kind of try to move forward.
You were ignoring the check engine light.
Exactly, exactly. So we got to a point when we had started talking about getting a place together. And again, I was really excited about this, like 100% on board initially, even though there were misgivings kind of in the back of my mind, but really figured that, maybe once we move in together, things will get easier because, that's always the case.
Oof.
So I'm looking at my lease, which was going to be up in a couple months. And I usually renew for a year at a time and decided that I wasn't going to renew for the next year. I was going to, go ahead and pull the trigger and find a place with her. Interestingly enough, I had run this plan by Amanda. So again, shout
Shout out
out
to
to
Amanda.
Amanda. And Amanda being, the incredible friend that she is, suggested that, maybe this ain't the right move. How do you feel about pumping the brakes on this? And
Mhm.
and so I decided that I was only going to renew my lease for 6 months
Mhm.
and figured that that would give me enough time to work it out. And, by that time, I felt sure that we would be ready to move in with each other.
Okay.
Fast forward a couple months, surprise, surprise, things didn't quite get better in the way that I had hoped for. But again, by this point, we'd already delayed things once. I'm not going to do it again. I can make it make sense. So I'm doing all these kind of mental gymnastics to kind of rationalize what in my body I didn't quite feel was right. There was one day where she had found a place online and went to check it out and was just like, hey, I think this place might be a good one to look at. And so I actually went that day by myself to go look at this place. And it was absolutely perfect. It was beautiful. There was all this lush greenery, everything that
All the things you love.
all the things I love. And not only that, the landlords were so lovely. I actually ended up staying and talking with them and having dinner with them. And, we're talking about the neighborhood. I mean, it was literally like you could interpret this as a godsend. But at one point I asked, is it okay if I look around the place a little bit by myself just to kind of take it in? And they were like, sure. So I was walking through the house and then I stopped in a bedroom that I figured would be mine. And I was looking out the window and there was just this sinking feeling in
Mm,
my gut that I could not ignore as
mm,
much as I wanted to.
mm,
And it was so hard and also so frustrating. I felt like my mind and my body were at odds with each other because my mind is telling me, like, this is right, this is perfect, like, this is what you want, here it is for you. And my body just would not get on board.
mm,
I went home that night and settled it. I was like, this is it, this is what we're doing. So, granted, throughout this time, also, speaking of my body kind of doing its own thing, this is when my insomnia was at its absolute worst.
oh, wow.
I was having more nights with almost no sleep than I was nights with sleep. But on this particular night, I remember falling asleep better than I had experienced in a long time. I went into like a very comfortable and deep sleep. And I had a very vivid dream that night about us being in that house.
Mm,
And it was actually a very lovely dream. And then right in the middle of the dream, my body woke me up. I woke up with a gasp, like I was coming up for air. And that has never happened to me before. It was so intense that I couldn't ignore it anymore. And that was when I made the choice that I could not go through with this. And so I actually texted her that morning because I could not fall back asleep after that. And I had to tell her, I don't think that I can move in together. And so a bit of a whirlwind, but ultimately what ended up happening is her and I breaking up for good.
hmm
And it was absolutely the right thing to do for me. It was hard, it was excruciating.
hmm
But, looking back, I can't imagine what would have happened had I continued to ignore my body and, go through with the thing that I thought that I wanted so badly in my mind.
Wow.
When I was reflecting on this in the context of that earlier question, I recognized not just that moment, but many moments in the past where I've been so grateful to the discomfort that I feel in my body sometimes that is really just alerting me to a truth that I might be trying to ignore.
hmm
That was also something that I sought intentionally through my therapy
hmm
was how to be more embodied, how to be more in tune with what I'm feeling and, not just living in my brain the whole time, which is a more, I would say, comfortable and safe space for me.
mm,
But over time, I've come to really appreciate the awe I feel with everything that comes with being an embodied human.
mm. I love that. Shout out to Amanda. We just really, 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 we just need to run all things by Amanda.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I think one of the things that is kind of sitting with me about this story is that, some stories you've told, I didn't know you yet.
Mhm.
This is a story and something that happened to you since I've known you. And I think that one piece that like kind of stands out is as much as we talk to each other, this wasn't, glasses flying across the room and shattering, on the wall. This wasn't screaming, or, anybody, being like extremely mean or anything like that. But sometimes there are things that just ain't right.
Mhm.
And when it ain't right, um, it ain't right.
Mhm.
And it's not always easy to listen to that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
A lot of it was rooted in fear,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
fear of what would happen if I chose to listen
Mm-hmm.
to that truth. And I was afraid to lose my connection to this person. I was afraid of feeling alone. But in, allowing that fear to guide my decisions, I really couldn't experience the love that I needed to know that I would be okay.
It's funny, while I was just talking to you, I was trying to find this quote from Khalid Hosseini. I think I'm pronouncing his name right. I could be wrong, but the author of The Kite Runner.
Oh, yeah. I love that book.
And there's this quote from that book, which I hope I have right here. He says, I wondered if that was how forgiveness budded, not with the fanfare of epiphany, but with pain gathering its things, packing up, and slipping away unannounced in the
Mm,
middle of the night. That is one of the most beautiful things I've ever read. But I'm almost imagining like the forgiveness isn't even so much about the other person, but really it was to forgive yourself
yeah.
for not protecting yourself.
Mm,
And essentially you quietly gathered your things up and slipped out in the middle of the night
yeah.
without a lot of fanfare.
None.
You know, it's hard to choose you.
It is. It is, especially when you've been very much indoctrinated into choosing everybody else.
Yeah, and you are at that age of urgency. I'm in my mid 50s, but when I was in my mid 30s, you know, a relationship dissolving, that's a very different thing because when you're like 30, 31, 32, you don't fully like you're kind of there are things that are possibilities for you. You don't even know if you want them or not. Like I don't fully know, do I want kids? Do I not want kids? But it's nice to have it on the table.
Mhm.
Do I want to live with somebody? Do I not want to live with somebody? It's fun to entertain it, and I have to just pat the idea on the head. Um, so when you have a person in your life, it actually gives you the permission to start to really like take those ideas and put teeth into them and start to really think about them. Like, well, could we grow together?
Mhm.
Uh, well, okay. D- do I want to be a parent someday? One dog or two or none. You know, in the city, in the suburbs, in California, there are
Yeah.
all these things that when it's just you, it's totally different. Um, but which is why I think the grief of a breakup around that age, it smacks you in a different way because in addition to the pain of the relationship ending, it smacks all the things that you've collected in your arms that you're carefully holding, all the dreams. It knocks them all on the floor and they all roll in different directions.
Mm,
And that is something that we don't talk about enough.
yeah.
Oh girl, there are more people out there. Oh, you know, but the only way to find whatever else is out there is to be available for it.
Yeah.
And as long as you ain't choosing you, you are not available.
Yeah. I'm grateful that I went through that because it's made it easier for me to choose myself in different ways since then.
Mhm.
But one of the things that I appreciate is even though I can't, in some ways, understand something fully or kind of see how something's going to end, I can trust what I feel. I
Mm.
can trust my intuition if something doesn't feel right. And I don't think that's something I had much confidence in before.
Well, that's great.
Hmm.
That's great. Because that would have that would have been much harder if you moved in together.
Oh my
And
God.
then to
Oh
try to
my
figure out
God.
how to tease all that apart. That would,
Yep.
yep. And then Amanda have to get on a plane, come out here, and 'cause we know Amanda will roll on a
Yeah.
drop of a dime for you.
She has made that very clear. Yeah.
She done made that trip for you before. So yeah, well, I'm glad that you are in a space where you are frequently over a four and choosing you because that's the best way to set yourself up for good to come to you. And again, it gives you something to look forward to.
Hmm.
Because as much as a breakup hurts, a breakup out of a relationship that you don't need to be in, you are left still with something to look forward to.
Mm.
Something else other than this. Something where somebody wants you back
Mhm.
with the same kind of fervor and willing to show you in ways where you don't have to be wondering. And I think up until the moment I met my husband, I had never seen what that looked like except for from my parents.
Mm. Mhm.
I'd never seen what that looked like. I always was the person who loved more and who ran 2 laps for your one. And that's not how it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
So kings, queens, and non-binary royalty, when you wake up from your colonoscopy, if you're old enough, if somebody is treating you in the way that you should not be treated, or you are treating you in the way that you should not be treated.
Mhm.
If you know Amanda, ask her what she. If you don't know Amanda, you know, go on and do what you got to do.
Yes. Listen to your gut, listen to your body, and know that there's always better things to look forward to. I, for one, am looking forward to seeing you again in May.
In May at
Yes.
the Society of General Internal Medicine meeting, where we will be recording live and where we are overdue to respond to some emails.
Yes. That part. Yeah.
Seeing they're coming.
Yeah, we're still coming.
Yes, yes, but real excited about that upcoming meeting. Those who joined us last year, it's not going to be the same episode as last year, so yeah,
Yes, exactly.
come on and check out your girls,
Hmm.
and we really feel grateful to have been asked back, but are also just in this time of such uncertainty. I think that connection and feeling seen is important now more than ever. And hopefully, if you come, there will be something in one of our stories that makes you feel seen.
Yes, absolutely.
Yep, yep. All right. Well, my friend, got some work to do.
Yeah, maybe go see about that check engine light or
Yeah. Well, you can just keep tidying up in your since you have that gene. All right, friend. Well, I love you dearly and hope that you get a good night's rest tonight.
Thank you, sis. I think I will. I love you too.
Peace.
That wraps up this week's episode of the Human Doctor Podcast.
Special thanks to our favorite brother gastroenterologist, Dr. Chuma Obiname, for the beats. Shout out to the Dr. Ashley McMullen for editing and production.
Mad love to our podcast family at The Nocturnist and the Clinical Problem Solvers, our Med Twitter fam.
And especially shout out to all of you, our listeners.
Until next week, remember,
we see you and you are enough. Holla!